Debate on Wall Street reform can go forward, but eventually there's going to have to be an end of that debate, and there's going to have to be a proceeding to a final vote on the bill. Dollars to donuts, Republicans are still going to filibuster that, too. If donuts win and miraculously Republicans do drop that filibuster, here's how you'll know. It'll only take 51 votes to pass Wall Street reform, not 60. If it's taking 60 votes, then Republicans are still filibustering. And in that event, Democrats may have to keep using the only weapon in Washington we know works. Because, you know, we've got cots, we've got Snuggies, we've got Hot Pockets, and pizza never tastes better than it does at 3 in the morning. Joining us now is Democratic Senator Barbara Boxer of California. Senator Boxer, thank you for your time on what has been a very busy night. You are always here when we do the dumbest stunts on the show, for which I apologize.
That was quite entertaining, and it was sort of, this is your life, Barbara Boxer. I guess we have a lot in our arsenal. I would like to think the most important thing is that we have good ideas and good legislation, but if we need some good cots thrown in, and it works, I'm with the program.
You were on the floor just a few hours ago showing all sorts of headlines from back when the economic crash happened, essentially reminding people of the gravity of the situation that Wall Street reform is trying to remedy. In your view, is this legislation as written strong enough to prevent another crash from happening?
This legislation is very, very good. I think we can strengthen it, and that's why I was so excited to learn that colleagues were stepping back from the precipice and they were going to let us go. But I will be offering amendments. The first amendment I'm going to offer, which I know Senator Dodd says yes to, which is very good news, is that in plain, simple language it's going to say, taxpayers, you're off the hook. Never again are we going to see this kind of bailout. And, you know, the only time we'll get involved is to wind a firm down, and those costs will have to be paid by Wall Street themselves. So that's good. I'm going to look at these rating agencies, and you know a little bit about that. They, Standard & Poor's, Moody's, they rated these junk securities, these instruments that were toxic at, you know, very high levels when they weren't. There's got to be some kind of responsibility there, so I'm looking at an amendment there. But Bernie Sanders is going to have an amendment to audit the Fed. I'm going to support that one. The Volcker rule, which is very important to President Obama, and Jeff Merkley is offering that. I'll be supporting it. So the answer is it is a very strong bill. We can make it even better.
The Republicans have suggested that have been trying to block debate from going forward on the Senate floor, essentially saying that they want negotiations to continue somewhere other than the Senate floor. But what you've just described there in terms of all those amendments that you're not only going to be offering but supporting, yes, implies that the process really isn't over, that the bill will continue to be tweaked and amended on the Senate floor. Why then was there so much resistance to Republicans allowing the debate to even start?
Obviously, you'd have to ask the Republicans that question. But for the life of me, I could not understand their reasoning, because they said the bill wasn't strong enough, and we're saying, okay, let's get busy and make it stronger. And now I'm looking forward to their amendments. But they chose not to amend it in committee for some reason. So they didn't amend it in the full light of the committee process. They didn't want to get started. They wanted to kind of have some backroom discussions. I think they were right to finally back down, because people get this. This isn't some very complicated matter. Maybe it is true that the financial system is complicated, but the basic notion of making sure that consumers are protected, taxpayers are protected, that, you know, these days of this crazy speculation in dark markets where no one understands, you know, what a derivative is doing, or a credit default swap, those are going to be fully transparent. So they did the right thing. I mean, I don't know if it was the cots. If it was the cots, then hooray. But, you know, hopefully it was the fact that they really decided that this stall wasn't really working. The American people want us to do this. It's whether they're Democrats, Republicans, or independents, we've got to stop this crisis. And the reason I brought out all those old headlines was kind of to take a look at where we were with stock market crashing and people's net worth going down 30%, 40%, 50%, losing 700,000 jobs a month, the housing market in a crisis. All of this happened because of this massive speculation and no consumer watchdog agency, which is a big part of the Dodd bill.
Senator Barbara Boxer of California, thank you for your time tonight. I'm glad you don't have to stay up all night.
Oh, you're not the only one.
Thank you, ma'am. I really appreciate it.